Terri Angelo.
Hi, Terry. How did you first get involved with the OATA?
Before the OATA existed, I was a student at Ashland College. Gary Lake was my head athletic trainer, and he kept us involved from the time we were freshmen all the way up. And then I became the athletic trainer at Ohio University, and it was all about the time when the OATA was being birthed. I actually was the secretary of the Ohio High School Athletic Association athletic training component because that was the precursor to the OATA.
Very cool. So were you among one of the original members, the first 28 that met?
I wasn't at the exact original meeting, I was at the second one.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What is the biggest change you have seen in athletic training?
I think the biggest change is how diversified the job settings have become, and the huge increase in how much our entry-level athletic trainers have learned. So the advance of the educational program has been tremendous.
So, if you could change one thing in athletic training, what would it be?
Change one thing. The only thing I would change is making sure that we did a better job at expressing to the world what athletic training is and the value of the athletic trainer.
Do you think that's changed a lot from when you first started out to now?
Oh yeah, it's changed tremendously. It just hasn't quite gotten us over that hump to have all the payers recognize us yet.
Yeah. Do you have any pearls of wisdom for younger members?
You know, the best thing I tell all the students that I work with is this is a people profession, so if you don't like people, change your mind. And when you're dealing with people, you have to touch them if you have any hope of curing what they have come to you for. So be very, very good about knowing your studies, taking all the advanced continuing education courses that you can, especially in manual therapy, and you'll do a good job.
How did you first become interested in the Graston technique?
For the Graston technique, I had seen them at the NATA convention exhibiting, and I kept going up to the booth saying, what is this? And I was trying to figure out what they were trying to sell. And when I realized what it was doing and they did some demonstrations on me, I went back to our administrator and said, look, we could be the only ones in Ohio doing this. You're always looking for something to make us stand out from our competitors. Let's look into it. So they sent me, and I became certified. And when I started treating so many people and having such good success, my hands were going to fall off. And this is a technique that's supposed to save your hands. So we actually got the administrators to bring Graston to our site, and we trained, I think, 26 people the first day.
Wow, that's awesome.
That was great.
That's so great. What is one quote you are known for, a phrase you have repeated throughout your career?
It's probably that being loved is not enough. And when I first stated that, it was at a presentation where I was trying to explain to people that even though all of our patients and our athletic directors and anybody that's ever worked with an athletic trainer loves us, and we have a really good rapport with them, and they literally love what we do, it's not enough because we weren't getting our message out to the public as to what our profession was. So we needed to spend a little bit more time working on marketing.
Definitely. What are some of your favorite memories from being involved in the OATA?
Probably all of the time I got to spend with such quality colleagues, working on different projects and getting to know everybody. And it's a very friendly group of professionals, and I don't see that in all the other professions that I'm involved with, even not just in healthcare, but we're a very tight-knit group, and I love that part.
I have noticed that from starting to meet more people.
Yeah.
What is your current involvement with the OATA, and what have you previously, positions have you held with the OATA?
I've done committee work with the OATA. Right now, and the names of our committees keep changing, but I'm working on the committee on revenue, and I think that's going to change. Depends on which level, OATA or NATA. But I've been involved with that committee for 20 plus years.
Wow.
I helped with the PR committee at one point, on the Hall of Fame committee, and committee work to me is where it's at. I really didn't have any desire to become one of the officers at that point. I just want to do whatever I can to help.
Definitely. What is the biggest challenge you've seen or experienced in your career, personally or for the profession overall?
the biggest challenge that I have obviously spent a lot of time working on is getting the recognition that the profession deserves.
Mm-hmm.
We've made some inroads, and different states have made bigger inroads. Coming from Ohio, our biggest accomplishment was getting the Bureau of Workers' Compensation to recognize us. But we've got to get more payers,
Mm-hmm.
and I know it has to start with Medicare. So,
Mm-hmm.
in the outpatient rehab setting that I work in, I deal with those people now, and they're a great group of people to work with.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of athletic trainers, you say Medicare, and they're like, I don't want to do that. I want to stay with the athletes. But they're the most appreciative group I've ever worked with, and they will do anything you ask them to because they want to get well.
What is the best part about being an athletic trainer or being involved with the OATA?
Being an athletic trainer is because I love people and I love to be able to help them. And over the years, with all the knowledge I've gained, I think I can do a pretty good job. And I will continue to take every course I possibly can to do an even better job. So that makes me feel good. And in the OATA, we have made really, really good strides because we have a lot of really good quality individuals working with all the committees. Our leadership has been fairly good. I'm real happy with this state. They're very progressive. We've kind of been one of the leaders in the country actually on a lot of issues and starting a lot of the different parts of the organization. So it's a great place to be.
What does it mean to be an athletic trainer to you?
It means that I have a responsibility to make myself totally educated so that I can do my job as well as I can. I've worked in almost every setting. Started in the college setting. And then when I moved to Akron to be in the clinical setting, I actually had to do some high school work. And then I became involved with the Ohio Ballet, so I did professional work. So I think I've been in most of the settings and totally have enjoyed all of them. So it's exhilarating to me to work with the students that have come through as interns for me because I see their excitement, I see their youth, and it makes me think of my old days. And I think that it's just going to keep growing and become a huge, recognized, very, very important part of the healthcare system.
I hope so. I agree, actually. Looking back, would you change something about your career, and if so, what would it be and why?
No, I wouldn't change anything. I was real happy with the circumstances on how I changed into the clinical setting and then got to work with a lot of the different people. I even started a golf performance enhancement company, so I kind of did a little venture on my own. Got to meet the CEO of Goodyear, who's become one of my best friends. Even offered to have me work with him and start an alternative healthcare center. He wanted me to run it. I would have done it if at the time my father wasn't really ill, my mom wasn't doing well, and I had family obligations. I was trying to keep my business going. I was trying to keep my job going, so I just had to turn them down. But, I've gotten to meet some awesome people all the way along, colleagues, patients, athletes. I've had a great run, and I still have more. Yeah.
Were you an author, creator, or inventor of something?
When I first got into the reimbursement arena, Jerry Whetstone was the president of the OATA at that time, and he asked me if I would head that committee, and I said sure, and I didn't know much about it. But we were trying to get organized and figure out how we could market ourselves to the public and sit down with some payers and introduce ourselves and say, we're really viable contenders to be healthcare providers for your constituents. So I put together this packet of information. We were starting to put that together, and then we got a call from a really big, like the Bureau of Workers' Comp. We got to put a letter into them, and we had a call from someone else. And I had to throw this together very quickly. They wanted our information like in the next 2 days. So when I put all this together and we sent this packet out, somehow the NATA got word of what we did here in Ohio, and they called me up and thanked me for making this great packet, and then they wanted to do this on the national level. So it kind of was the originator of that kind of a packet of information. And then we were in a pickle with the Bureau of Workers' Comp where they wanted a lot of information about us in a very short synopsis type presentation. So on a Sunday morning, Gary Lake, Holly Kozak, Kim Pear and I met, and we sat down and we wrote this whole thing out. We had talked with Michigan because we knew they had to do this already, and to see if we could look at theirs, and their legal counsel didn't want that sent out of the state, so we were like, okay, we got to do this. And we sat down that morning and wrote the whole thing, and we did a great job. So as far as authoring, that's about all I've done.
That's cool. That's awesome. Tell me how you got interested in athletic training, and then give a brief synopsis of your career, starting from when you were an undergraduate to now.
Okay. When I was I was a junior in high school. My physical education teacher took me to John Carroll University because they were having the athletic trainer there do a little demonstration for one of her sports coaches meetings. And she thought I might be interested. So I spoke with the athletic trainer there. He was a really wonderful guy. And that kind of sparked my interest. So I started looking into the possibility of that and went on from there. I never turned back. So, 'cause I love sports. I thought about going into medicine. Wasn't sure at that time, being a young and carefree person, if I wanted to stay in school long enough to become a physician. Kind of wish I had sometimes, but I really love the combination of the sports and the medical field.
And then